And my mother was like, I think state college is a better option. I grew up in a very close-knit family, so really close to my parents. My dad also had a boat, so we would go boating all the time. We would go camping as well when we were.
Welcome back to Repat Stories, where we travel the world through the stories of others. My name is Adrienne, your host, and today I'm really happy to be talking to Miss Ariel Derrick, who is an Antiguan and a Canadian and has lived also in Jamaica, and she's going to be telling us about her experiences in all three countries. Hi, Ariel.
Hi.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and I'm happy to talk to you. So first of all, our show, as you know, takes like three main sections, like home and then away and then home again. So can you tell us about growing up in Antigua?
So first of all, I think I'm a small island girl at heart. So growing up here, it was amazing. Like, love the beaches, love just the community, I grew up in a very close-knit family, so really close to my parents, really close to my sister, my extended family as well, Christmases together, birthdays together. Always just this really loving, supportive community, and even family friends, very big family friend community as well. Went to private preschool, private primary school, and then my mother told me, look, like, you have to get into the top girls high school here. She's like, I don't got no money to pay for high school, so you better work your ass off and get in there, which is her alma mater as well. So did that, always did very well in school. So I came 10th, I think, either 10th or 11th in the top 60 from primary school. So I got my place in Antigua Girls High School, went there. After that, I went to A-levels at the Antigua State College, and then after that, I migrated to Canada.
Wait, stop. So let's pause and talk about growing up. So were you always living like in the town area?
So I actually grew up initially in the early stages in Seaton, so that's in the east, so very country, like right on the water. We had it wasn't a beach, but we had like the seaside right next to us. We used to go out onto the water on little kayaks and stuff. We were very good swimmers. My dad also had a boat, so we would go boating all the time. We would go camping as well when we were smaller on a offshore island as well, just like friends and family again. And then when I was 8, my parents split up, and that's when we moved to here, to town. So I spent the latter part of my life growing up in town, easy access to everything. Actually, when I was in high school, my mother was very like, don't go into town with your uniform, that kind of way. So she was like, you know what? I don't mind if people come to the house. We had a very central house, close to all the schools, all the high schools and stuff. So all my friends used to come here. This used to be the Lyman house, because she's like, I don't want you all outside on the street, so all you guys can come here. So the guys, the girls, everybody, this was the link-up house. They come, they watch football, we Lyman, just like after school hangout.
That sounds amazing. And so you told me as well that you recognize that you did have a privileged upbringing. And you said, for example, you went to private school for primary. What does that mean in the Antiguan context? What does that mean? Like, what does privilege mean? What does, do you think it made a difference, private versus public primary school, based on your understanding of Antigua?
Absolutely. So you have access to more things. You have access to more people, like the network. I would say that definitely helped me build the network that I have. And I didn't understand the value of it until I became a lot older. But I was involved with a lot of after school activities. When you have the means to afford those things, you're not lost in the streets, I mean, I did guides, I did choir, I did steel pan, I did interact. I was always involved. I did ballet, hip hop. We were always involved, always doing something, always on the go, and fortunately enough for how I grew up, we were able to afford the time to do these things. My mom, my parents would pick us up, drop us off to these places, so definitely I would say having the opportunity to be a little bit further ahead, just because of how I was born, or the family that I was born into.
Okay, no, I understand. I just want to, sometimes from country to country, there's similar things like activities cost money everywhere,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Versus like what it meant specifically in Antigua. So thank you for explaining. So, you are a Canadian citizen, and how did that affect your decision to go abroad?
So yeah, so I'm a Canadian citizen because my father, he moved when he was in about high school. Their family moved. They all became naturalized citizens, and through him, back then, I don't think it's possible now, but back then you can, as soon as you have children, you can give them, pass on the citizenship to them. So I have a Canadian passport, which again, privilege allows me to be able to have or explore Canadian options. So I think Canada was always like one of the biggest or the most available places because I had the Canadian citizenship. So that meant that I would pay Canadian prices for the schools, which is way cheaper than international prices. And Canada in general is a lot cheaper than the US. So, and I was also, I used to grow up going to the US a lot too. And I don't know, they're just never really interested me. I mean, I went to Canada once. I used to go to the US like every other year, and I don't know, something about the
You
US
like
just
it gave you the ick?
wasn't
Did it give you the ick?
not necessarily. It was just like it was expensive, and then something's always happening there and stuff. And people would always say Canadians are nicer, it's
Yeah,
cleaner,
yeah.
So I'm like, why am I fighting up to go to the US? And
You have a really good option here. Yeah.
so there was that. There was also UE, but I feel like for me, it was I can afford like Canada's very affordable and it's something different. Like UE is different in that it's a different island, so it is still a different experience. But if I have the opportunity to go somewhere I'd never seen snow, never been in the winter, never lived in a big North American country, so I just thought it was a very good option for me.
Understood. And so you applied after fifth form, and
Initially,
then
yeah.
and then what happened?
So at fifth form, I was like, let me just see. Instead of like, okay, yeah, I know I can go to A levels, but let me just see if I get in anywhere. So I applied to, what's the one in Halifax? SMU, St.
Okay.
Mary's, that a lot of West Indians go to.
Okay.
And then they accepted me preliminarily. I think I needed one or two subjects or something. They just said it was a preliminary acceptance. And then I applied to State College, got in, and my mother was like, I think State College is a better option. Do the 2 years. So I ended up doing that. And I think it actually did work out for me for the best because it was a good opportunity just to get a little bit more freedom. So my mom was kind of strict, not very, very strict, but she was kind of strict. So when I got to A levels, at this point, I graduated at 17. So when I got to A levels, a little bit more freedom. Like I had friends who were driving, so they would pick us up and take us to school. The classes aren't bam, bam, bam. It's like you have time in between. You have to manage your time more. My mom would let me go out and go fets and, come back at whatever time. Like you have your own house key, so it's a lot more freedom, a lot more feeling like an adult. So I think that 2 years in between really prepared me to feel more ready to leave home, even though I was still at home, but just feeling a lot more comfortable, like being on my own and being able to make decisions for myself.
Yeah. And so you come to the point where you're getting ready to go and you're choosing a school. What went into that choice?
So I was between 3 schools. I can't remember what the third one was, but the 2 top schools for me were U of T, University of Toronto, and York University. So York University is right on the outskirts of the city. So you're close enough to the city. It's about 45 minutes to an hour on the train. And then, but you're still far enough away. But then U of T, they had 2 campuses. So they had the really big campus, which is right downtown. And then they had the Mississauga campus, which is kind of like in the suburbs. So the really big campus, I was like, that's a lot. That sounds like a lot of people. So I was looking between Mississauga and York. And I think what made me decide to go to York, there were 2 girls, Michelle and Sharissa Collins. I went to church with them. I grew up with them, knew them very well. And they were both going to York. So when I spoke to them, they were like, it's really cool. There's like a little West Indian community. And, don't worry, we got you when you come. So I think that made me feel really comfortable. Like I have a piece of home when I'm there. I won't feel alone. I won't feel like I'm by myself. I'm starting over. So I thought, and I mean, far enough away from the city that I could just go a lime in the city, but
Right.
close enough that I could still go and, so not be distracted by the city things, but still be
Or
close enough,
overwhelmed.
right, or overwhelmed with the city life. It was in that sweet spot. So that's why I decided to go to York University.
All right, cool. And so you're preparing to go, and you are very close to your mom and your sister. You and your sister did everything growing up. How was that, like, preparing to leave?
I think I was more excited than anything.
Okay.
I feel like I'm an excitable person. So I feel like I wasn't even thinking, I would miss home so much. But I was like, I'm just ready for this new adventure. And I knew they were always a phone call away, like we're going to make an effort to have calls, which we did. Like both my parents were like, okay, we're going to have a call once a week. So like daddy was Sunday. It would be my dad, my sister, and me on a Sunday. And then I think some other time during the week, maybe like a Saturday or a Friday, it'd be like my mom, my sister, and me. And we just have calls and like catch up and that kind of thing. So I never felt too far away from them when I went. But I think it was just excitement to experience something new, like meet new people, be in this new place. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so you go there and you realize, like, what's the statistic you gave about the size, like the population of?
Oh yeah, I think one of the most shocking things two of the most shocking things when I first went to school was the size of the campus. It was huge. It was like a city in itself. Walking from one end of the campus to the other end of the campus was like, I don't walk nowhere in Antigua like that, And then I think I looked up the size of the school, like the population of the school, and it was 60,000. And where I'm coming from, it was 90,000 at the time. So I just thought, wow, I'm going to a place that's almost the size of my whole island. This one school, this one place I'm living in is almost the size of my island. And I just felt so small. I felt so small, but I felt so appreciative to get that opportunity as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so when you're there, you're doing a lot of things, you're involved. So like tell us what like York was like for you.
I loved York, to be honest. I did. I think it was the best school for me. It was very multicultural. That's one of the things I really loved about it. Like you met people they had people with background. That's what they call it in Canada. Like once you're from there, but your parents are from somewhere else. So like you have West Indian background, you have Indian background, you have African background. But then they also had people who were actually from the place. So you had actually people from other West Indian countries. You had people from India, you had people from Africa, you had people from Mauritius. Like even countries I'd never heard of or never even thought of in my life. They had this multicultural week. And it was a week of activities, and they had different clubs for like the Jamaican club, the Caribbean club, the Mauritius club, the Indian club, the Pakistani club, and everybody came together and we had fashion show, we had cultural explosion, we had food thing where we showcased the food from different places. You could walk through the halls and everybody has booths set up and they're telling you about their country, they're telling you about different things. So I thought that was very interesting. So on one hand, I was involved with the Caribbean side of it. So I joined the Caribbean Students Association. I was on the board, I helped start a Caribbean dance club. So I had a friend there. She was like into West Indian dance and stuff, and we were coming from a dancing background. So both my sister ended up coming to school with me. So both my sister and I joined that club, and we used to go out to perform at different Caribbean functions. Nice. We used to perform at the school with the Caribbean Students Association. There was another school that had a cultural weekend as well, Caribbean cultural weekend, and we would go and perform and compete in their school thing. So that was one part of it, and I think that was more like the latter half. But the beginning part, so the school is separated into colleges.
Okay.
So based on what you're studying, you're put into these different colleges, and you live in these different areas. So the dorm I lived on, Vanier College, each college has a council.
Okay.
So students, kind of like student president kind of way, like that kind of how they have it at UE. But so they had president, vice president. They would organize activities. we would do community service, we would do all different types of things. So when I first started, I got involved with that as well and came up the ranks. I was director of finance, I was vice president social cultural. So that was also a different experience. Again, me wanting to be in the club vibe, you know, wanting to be involved with school. So whereas you have the Caribbean Students Association, which is all Caribbean people background or coming from the Caribbean, you have a more Canadian set of people in this, you know, college council. So met like real Canadian people. Some of them also were background. I mean, but all of them like grew up in Canada. So you got like a more Canadian experience with them. Went skiing, went ice skating, went all kind of different things. Like went to trips to Montreal. Like we would do different things every time. So I really got a good Canadian experience through them. You know, like going to hockey games and basketball, Raptors basketball games and all those kind of things. So I feel like I got a really good mix because I had pieces of home and feeling of home, you know, even going to fetes. Like Toronto's a really big fete culture. Well, for the small subsection of West Indies that is there. So, I mean, but like fetes on a way bigger scale than they have in Antigua. So being able to see Private Ryan and Kes perform and Mashal perform and these people, but then also being able to learn skiing and go in that realm, you know, that Canadian realm. I think I got a good mix of it.
That sounds amazing. And so you went there, you knew what you wanted to do, but you didn't get in right away. So tell us about that academic experience for you.
So initially I wanted to do business administration. I wanted to do marketing. So there was a program, business administration, with a concentration in marketing, which I wanted to do. But when I first got there, I needed A-level math. So I had stopped math after high school. I'm not interested in A-level math. But then when I went, they said, okay, you need up to this level. So I did I was just entered with another degree. I think it wasn't undecided. I can't remember what it was. But like a sociology, something like that. And I did the math course. And then after that, I transferred into what I wanted to do, which was the marketing.
But then it added another year.
Yes, it added another year. So I ended up spending 5 years instead of the 4-year program.
But then you did it. You came out with your bachelor's with honors.
Yes, with honors.
In business. That's right. You're really smart. In business administration, and got to graduate with your sister at the same time.
Yes.
That must have been nice.
It was really nice.
Yeah, for your family.
Yeah, so a big group of the family came up and they only had to make one trip. And it was literally, I had my graduation one day and her graduation was the next day. So
she was
see
in a
the
different
same
faculty?
Yeah, she's in a different faculty. So she did international business. So it was one day we had the same picture. One day I'm in a robe and the next day switch out, she's in a robe. So it was really, really nice. It was a really great trip for the family. So yeah.
That's awesome. And then you finish your degree, and what next? How do you decide what you want to do? You didn't want to stay in Canada?
I thought about it. I really did. I think for that last year, I was really up in the air about it. I was having a really difficult time, like trying to decide, do I stay in Canada? Do I try and pursue something here? Or do I go back home? You know, home is always there. You know, so I think it was two things for me. One was I had met people or knew people who were West Indians, family, friends of family, people who I'd met, and they would always say, you know, oh, I was going to move back home, you know, and then, you know, when a winter comes, I want to go back home, but then summer comes and I'm fine again, and then winter comes and I want to go back home, and now I've been here for 10 years, now I've been here for 18 years, now I've been here for 30 years. It's like they never leave. And I know I never wanted to stay permanently. I wanted to stay maybe to just experience something, maybe start working or something. But then I just thought, I don't want to be trapped. I don't want to fall into, oh, I'm going to go back home and then never leave. So I knew I eventually wanted to end up back home. But I think what really put the nail in the head was that last winter. So I used to go back home every summer, every winter. And that last winter coming back, last winter coming back, and I was in my uncle's car driving from the airport, and we drove into the area where I lived, and I looked out and I saw all the snow on the banks, all the snow in the road, and I just went, oh my God, I cannot do one more year of this. I'm done. I'm tired. Like, love Canada, hate the winter, hate the cold. And I was like, that's it. My mind is made up. In that instant, I was like, my mind is made up. I'm going home.
Yeah.
I have to go home.
Understood.
And I think another important thing for me too, I remember learning in State College in not communication studies. I can't remember what the subject was.
Caribbean studies?
Caribbean studies, right. We learned about brain drain. And I think that was very important for me too.
Yeah?
Knowing
You were thinking about that like,
I
at
was.
that time?
I
Wow.
was. I never had a word for it. I never thought about it and understood it until we learned it then. And I'm like, there are people, educated people,
Yeah.
that just leave. And who's left? Who's left to develop the country? Who's left to make things better? We always say, oh, this happening, corruption, this, all kind of things are happening, the country not going well. But who is there to help the country go well, right? And so I didn't want to be one of those people that leave and never come back. So I think that's why I was so afraid of being trapped or so afraid of just staying, which is why I said I definitely want to come back. I definitely want to come back. I want to contribute positively to the community. I want to be a part of making my country better.
That
right?
says a lot about you as a person, because we have the book knowledge about these things happening, but not every individual is like, yeah, but if I don't go, I am one who could be here doing something. And I think that says a lot about you positively as a person. So I'm really happy to hear about it. So, okay, but you make a pit stop. You don't just come back right away. You go somewhere else. What happened there?
After I decided that I was going to move back, I did a little bit of traveling. I think I went to a few of the states to visit my friends, just a little, like, I have some time now. Let me, take these trips. Yes, exactly. So then I moved back, I think, by the August. This is 2015. And I didn't have a job or anything. So I was kind of looking around. I knew I was interested in working at Bryden's specifically, or just
What's
like
that?
in that industry.
Like
so
industry?
that's a distribution company.
Okay.
I had done work with them in the summers when I was back, like promo girl, that kind of thing. So I knew the people a little bit. I knew that's what I'm in marketing, so I knew that that's kind of where I wanted to go for the most part. But they have other companies as well that are in that industry, distribution, drinks, spirits, wines, that kind of thing. I interviewed with them and they said, sorry, we're not ready for anybody in marketing right now. So I was still just waiting around. And then my cousin, she works at an offshore bank, and she said, oh, they need somebody temporarily, like for a few months, because there's somebody going on vacation. Just, filing and getting pictures of people, like administrative stuff. So I had a family friend. Well, she was my ballet teacher. Her husband owned Premier Beverages, a drinks company. And I went in for an interview with them. And, they were going to offer me the job. And then right at that moment, Bryden's came in and said, hey, look, here's an offer. So I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So I had the two offers. And Bryden's was more interesting for me. So I decided to go that route. They said, sorry, we don't have anything in marketing right now. Our marketing department's not ready for you. But we think if you start in sales, that'll be good. Learn the people, learn what we do here, and then when the marketing department opens up, you can transfer over there. So I said, okay, that's fine. Initially I was a little intimidated to do sales because, you have to talk to people. I mean, not that I'm bad at talking to people. It's just, I didn't see myself as a salesperson, as, they say some people can sell ice and Eskimo. I didn't feel like I was that person. So I'm like, but I could come in, learn my way around, and I ended up really enjoying it, just being on the road, getting to know people, having friends in this place and this place and this place, and, just getting comfortable enough with people. I knew I was good at sales when I could sit down in a kitchen. I used to do food service sales, so like meat and large items, brooms, all kind of things. We did everything. So when I could sit down in a kitchen and be like, you don't see a broom needs to change? You don't know I sell brooms? Like, what's going on? Okay, give me a broom. All right, have it down. That's what I knew. Okay, I kind of have a knack. I have a knack for this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love when there's like that, like self-discovery and also like realizing that you really enjoy something.